Okay, not yet as well. For our annual public hearing to adopt a ICSD safety plan. The district is required every year to review an updated safety plan. We have Dr. Dan Bryman with us, who will be sharing a little bit more about the process and particularly the changes. We've been doing, I would dare say, an admirable job over the past 4 or 5 years to pay much more attention to the details for a variety of reasons, some unfortunate and some being much more proactive, and so greatly appreciative. The goal of the public hearing is to get feedback from our community. As my board colleague Karen Yearwood said in our previous meeting that just happened, there's also the Let's Talk portal. So please, folks should please feel free to use that to give feedback as well, to write to any board member or to the entire board, to write to the board clerk, to email, to call, whatever it may be. But what we're going to do this evening is get a little bit more information about the changes for the 24-25 safety plan, how it came to be, and then we'll see if there's anyone in the audience that would like to give any feedback. And so with that said, Dr. Bryman, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Okay. This year we received a few memos from NICSD. This past July, we received an amendment that in regard to safe schools planning and emergency drills. And because of this guidance, we've made some changes that I'm going to highlight here. Emily works with me. Good one. Thank you. All right. So on the safety plan, when you do a lockdown drill, one of the big changes was to make sure to go over to speak on the PA and let the children know that it's a drill, just so that it can be used as a learning opportunity and as practice, and they know it's not an emergency. That was some of the guidance from the state. Although the evacuation drills, which are just fire drills commonly known, don't have to be announced. And that's just obviously to improve readiness as well. Drills are scheduled on different days, times, and days of the week. Some of you may remember schools a long time ago would schedule them all in one day or do multiple, multiple in a day. It's super efficient, of course, but it may not be testing the readiness that we're looking for. And the other thing, which we've kind of been ahead of this one, is parents and caregivers are contacted 1 week ahead of time. Now, we had, in years prior, looked at regulations with our attorney, Kate, and saw that we needed to get in the practice of informing our parents ahead of time, but now it's official by the state. All right, and then there was another memo that we received in September from NICSD, and it was about after-school safety procedures. And it's having procedures in place for greeting and managing out-of-district visitors who attend athletic events, after-school programs. We have a fantastic athletic department and fine arts, and we have many of these systems already in place. I've met with Daphne and Miss Little as well, and have checked in about the systems that exist. We also need to provide safety information for after-school programs, and also procedures for visitors attending after-school events. And I'm sure many of you know that in our elementaries, we have many different after-school programs, and they all have established sign-in protocols set in place. So those are the big changes. On the next slide, this is our shell document, if you can see it, and this is the big document that's up in so many. I know maybe you can't see it on the screen, but these are up in every classroom in the school district. And actually, last year, with Catherine's help and with ITA members and many other members, we did a revision where we included examples. That was really helpful. That was some of the guidance we got from teachers was, please provide some examples, but then also there were some questions about, when you take attendance and when you assist students. So we were pretty clear about that on all of the drills.
Dan, I know that you are well versed in the 100+ pages of this safety plan.
Yes.
And I know that in education, like many other fields, we love acronyms.
Yes.
So you used the shell document, but you're going to tell us what that means. My apologies.
So the shell stands for shelter in place, hold in place, evacuate, lock out, and lock down. And these are the 5 drills that we practice. That makes sense. So, like, for example, a shelter in place is, it's for an event where indoors is safer than outside. Hold in place is an exercise that we do where staff movement might be limited. If there's a medical emergency in the building and we're trying to provide some privacy for the student or the adult, we may do a hold in place. Evacuation outside is safer than inside, of course. And lockout is securing the school buildings and grounds. That means there might be an incident nearby the school that's occurring. And then a lockdown, where I'm sure we all know what that is, but that's more if somebody's inside of the building. Some of the changes we've made over the last few years is we've had significant changes on threat assessment. And that's in our document. We've provided a lot of different threat assessment models and resources. Thanks to Aaron's help, we've added many special education resources in there. We've added a whole page for students as well. The threat assessment document that we sent all our principals is somewhat of a flow chart, which you'll see on the next slide. And it's evaluating the threat, attempting to resolve the threat if it's not so serious, responding if it's more of a serious threat, providing safety evaluations if it's very serious, and then, of course, creating a safety plan if it's needed. I wanted to do a very succinct presentation for a 100-page document. So that's enclosed my document. After we waited 30 days to have this hearing, and then next steps would be then we can adopt this safety plan. We do this every year, and I think that really keeps it fresh. About the process, there is a district safety plan. So as soon as I received the memos from the state, I did pull the district safety team together to review some of the changes in the draft form. On the district safety team, we have union representatives are invited. We have a variety of teachers. We also have law enforcement. Over the years, we've done a better job of including law enforcement. And this year, we've worked with Captain Schwartz of IPD to also help to provide a police officer connected to each school in the IPD area. But also, we've also reached out to the sheriff's office as well to connect an officer from the sheriff's office to those schools as well. If changes need to be made, we pull the team together. If questions come up, we pull the team together. And we have worked to try to get student voice, but that's something we'll need to work on. Mm-hmm. That's about it.
Thank you, Dr. Bryman. Appreciate it. For board members, this is not necessarily a time for us to ask questions. This is a time for a public hearing. So we're going to give some space to see if there is anyone from the public that would like to speak. And after we do that, this will come back to a board meeting for adoption. And that will be the time where we're able to engage in discussion. Doesn't mean we cannot have conversations outside of then to write to Dan to read the document if you haven't read it again 3 or 4 times to provide from there. So we'll wait a second and see if there is a member from the public that would like to offer feedback or has questions. All right. So then I think I will reiterate once again, there is the Let's Talk portal. You can email board members, you can call board members, you can call the clerk, you can call Dr. Bryman. Please take a look at the document. I believe the changes, last time I checked, and I hope that's still the case, are highlighted on the document, or they're identified in some way, so please take a look. Again, this is an annual process, and this is not an evening for adoption. It will come back onto a board agenda for an adoption at that time. Any questions, board colleagues? Hearing nothing from the public. Thank you. We'll bring the public hearing to a close, and we will await our next board meeting shortly. Fantastic. Thank you very much.